Brentford beat Newcastle by 3-1. Keith Andrews, isn't he doing a good job? It's a good job Crook gave him stick before the start of the season, because he is responding in kind, isn't he, Kev? He's done a fantastic job.
He has. And look, I have some sympathy with Crookie for once here. Because
Don't have any sympathy with Crook. He doesn't need anybody's sympathy.
I feel dirty having said that. It's very strange.
Yeah. Don't have a shower.
But he was a set play coach. He had no senior coaching track record to go on. So nobody knew how this was going to turn out. But what's been really impressive, we could talk about the long throws all we want. That's a huge part of it. Of course, that's a huge part of it. The scoring goals from it, the hurling the ball into the box. But actually, what's really impressed me watching them is how much they look like a unit and how comfortable they are in the roles that they have. Because I think defensively, they are strong. I think Damsgaard is a super player. I mean, he looks like, a gust of wind could blow him over, but he's a sensational player. And I think he's really come to the fore. Igor Thiago, who we knew could score goals at Club Brugge. That's no guarantee of anything. He's been out for a year with that knee injury, but he's back now, and he looks built for the Premier League. He's been excellent so far. And Kevin Schade as well. I mean, he's another one that surprised me by just how consistent he's been. Because, again, he was a raw talent, came from Germany. There were no guarantees there. So you have to give them immense credit for the way that Andrews has carried on what Frank did and actually tweaked it a little bit into his style that he wants to see. They were also denied what I felt, I don't know about you guys, but what I felt was one of the clearest penalties.
Oh, don't you go down the Perry Groves route?
In a long time. I still am trying to work out how that was a yellow card for simulation, but maybe
because
my
he dived.
Who knows?
Because he dived.
But there's clear contact on the ankle.
Oh, okay. So if I kick you on the top of the boot, you jump up in the air, throw your arms up like that, and kick the back of your backside.
He sold
with your heels,
it. I'm not telling you he didn't sell it.
It was a genuine attempt to deceive the referee. So I'm sorry that he deserved the yellow card for going over the top.
But even Dan Burn was smiling at Ouattara and kind of shrugging his shoulders.
But Dan Burn gave up too easily on that, and he gave up on the second one too easily as well, by the way, when there was, again, only minimal contact between the two, and he just walked off. I was like, what are you doing? At least protest. Honestly, I cannot believe that he thought he was going to get away with jumping up in the air and starfishing and wasn't going to get booked. It was if you compare that to the Doku one, Doku attempts to stay on his feet. We've talked about this on the Men in Black thing. He attempts to stay on his feet. He made a genuine attempt to keep playing, and he can't continue because he was fouled. The fact is that Ouattara, there was contact, but he has no interest in trying to play the ball. His only interest is to try and do a dance move from Pineapple Dance Studios and get up and try and get a penalty, which, I'm so delighted he didn't get for the road.
But does that knock out the fact that he was tripped?
It does. It wasn't tripped.
Okay.
It was minimal contact on the top of the foot. And I tell you, I'm so pleased that the referee stood up to him, because otherwise that's what's going to happen. Every time someone gets touched in the penalty area, people are going to fling their arms around.
But did he then even it up afterwards?
He probably did even it up, because I don't think the second one was a pen either.
I don't either. So that's a worry as well, because he's then evening up what he did before.
But the reaction from Dan Burn, just to say fair cop, Gov, and start to walk off. Maybe it was.
That annoyed me. Anyway, a Men in Black, which is underneath this. If you just scroll up, you can get into it. And me and Chris Foyer have had about 3 rows today, so I don't want to get into it with you as well, Kev, because I've already lost enough friends. We were talking about Keith Andrews and his managerial adaptation. I think you need to give credit to the genius of Matt Benham, the owner of Brentford Football Club, right? Yeah. Since he took over, I know Matt a little bit, I've met him a few times. And when he first took over the football club, he sort of sold me the reasons why he was doing it. It was because he was a massive fan and he was investing money into what was at the time the Bees Trust. But he felt as if the club needed a lot more professionalism and expertise in order to take it forward. So he convinced the Bees Trust to take it out of fan ownership and let him buy the football club. Since then, if you can tell me one mistake he's made in appointing a manager, I would love to hear it, because he always gets it right. And instead of sort of sitting there and being skeptical when they appointed Keith Andrews, what we should have done is gone, do you know what? Matt Benham knows what he's doing, so there's a reason why he has decided to go down this road. Because if you go back, Dean Smith, Thomas Frank, now Keith Andrews, even before that, managers that have always progressed the football club and taken them on to the next level. And I think he deserves credit, and he's hardly ever spoken about Matt Benham, but I think he needs to be recognised.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the same with the recruitment as well. You wondered how would they cope losing Johan Wisser and Brian Mbermo, their two main goal scorers from last season. But they knew they had Thiago waiting to make an impact. And my word, has he made an impact? He's a real handful, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Should we talk about Newcastle? Poor away from home again. And Eddie Howe, Crook, under a little bit of pressure from a bit of outside noise. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe we're amplifying that. But I think he sort of said it himself, didn't he? This is the first time we're going to be under real scrutiny after 4 years in charge.
Yeah, and I think that's fair in some regard, because the away form is lamentable. It's not just the fact they've not won away from home this season. It's the lethargic nature of the performances, that a byproduct of playing Champions League football, possibly. And I think if you go back a couple of seasons, they did struggle to back up what they were doing in Europe when it came to the Premier League the following weekend. But you have to also take into account the turmoil of the summer, that Alexander Isak situation. As I've already said, there were no winners from that. Personally, I think the hierarchy should have intervened much sooner and said, look, we're going to sell this guy. This is the asking price. Get it done. And then you wouldn't have had the sort of cloud hanging over Newcastle. They did. Johan Wisser has signed and immediately got injured. So we're yet to see what he can do in the Newcastle shirt, which does leave them short of options up front. They've had injuries, haven't they? Tino Livramento was playing really well before he got injured. So I think there are mitigating circumstances, but at the moment, because of that away form, they're a long way off challenging for a Champions League place for next season.
Yeah, no away win from home since April in the Premier League. And more importantly, that's racking up to 9 games now. That's a big issue.